you react with repression. And in the reactionary theocracy that dominates Iran, they react with severe repression. That's why people are recently being jailed. The West bitterly protests the imprisonment. Yeah, rightly, I protest it too. But we should recognize that it's complete hypocrisy. The imprisonment is the predictable result of the actions that the U.S. is taking with the approval of its allies to threaten Iran. Yeah, it's a predictable result, and they keep telling us if we want to hear. So yes, they reacted in the way that's the predictable consequence of our threats, illegal threats. We can improve the circumstances for democracy promotion in Iran by doing what the overwhelming majority of Americans want: withdraw the threats. That'll leave some space for reformists and activists in Iran, and that's what they're pleading for. That's what we can do. No better source. So yes, we can act to improve the prospects for democracy in Iran so that Iranian public opinion will have an influence on public policy, and we can certainly do it in our own countries. That lays out steps towards alleviation of this crisis, which could be a very severe one. If war breaks out, either planned or accidental, it could be extremely severe. Just recently, one well-known British military historian, Corelli Barnett, said simply it's going to be World War III. Maybe it certainly could have an enormous Iran effect. It could lead to indescribable consequences in Iraq, in the region. We might incidentally ask how people in the region feel. That's also been studied in the Sunni states near Iran. The polls were taken, I think, in Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan, where they don't like Iran very much. Nevertheless, a large majority of the population favors a nuclear-armed Iran over any military action. We certainly can know what Iranians think. So if public opinion made any difference to policy, whether in the region, in the United States, anywhere, there would be no steps towards war and no threats of war. Rather, there would be steps towards improving the possibilities for peace. I don't know if you want me to go into it. We don't have a lot of time, but there have been recent revelations of options for negotiation that were quite serious, that were simply rejected by the United States and incidentally by the European Union. Just to mention briefly, in 2003, we now know that Iran approached the United States with proposals to negotiate all outstanding issues, nuclear issues, two-state settlement for Israel-Palestine, which incidentally Iran supports, contrary to what you read, everything. The U.S. reaction was to censure the Swiss ambassador who brought the proposal. Okay, end of that. The following year, the European Union entered into negotiations with Iran and actually reached an agreement, a bargain. The agreement was that Iran would suspend the uranium enrichment, which it is legally entitled to carry out. That's agreed on all sides, but they would suspend it. And in return, the European Union would provide, I'm now quoting the words, firm guarantees on security issues. Well, security issues is a term that's well understood. That refers to U.S.-Israeli threats to attack Iran, which are, of course, illegal. So the European Union, its side of the bargain, was provide those guarantees. Well, Europe didn't live up to its side of the bargain, probably under U.S. pressure. So U.S. experts on the topic argue. Anyway, they didn't live up to it. And after that, Iran withdrew from its side of the bargain. Yeah, it's not the way it was described in the West is Iran broke the agreement. Well, not exactly true. And that continues. The West adores President Ahmadinejad, every crazed phrase he comes out with, big publicity. Ahmadinejad has nothing to do with foreign policy. That's in the hands of his superior, Ayatollah Khamenei, who has, you don't read his statements very often. For example, his statement that Iran supports the Arab League position on Israel-Palestine, namely full normalization of relations with Israel within the framework of the international consensus on a two-state settlement that the U.S. and Israel have blocked for the last 30 years. I haven't seen that reported. Actually, I have a little bit, just a couple reports in the Financial Times, London Financial Times, but no, it's not on everyone's lips. And internal to Iran, if you read specialists on the topic, there's plenty of controversy and openings. And we could assist in positive developments if that were the goal, just as actions could be taken to reduce the threat of terrorism, if that were the goal. If it's not the goal, of course, you proceed with aggressive militarism, which is very likely to heighten the tensions and the consequences, which could be awesome.